Welcome to the Misophonia podcast. This is episode 225. My name is Adil Ahmad, and I have Misophonia. In this episode, I speak with Faye, a Los Angeles-based multimedia artist, actor, and filmmaker who's working on a comedy horror short film about misophonia. Diagnosed with severe misophonia along with autism, ADHD, fibromyalgia, and several other conditions, Faye considers misophonia one of the most disabling things she deals with daily. We discuss her creative approach to raising awareness through her film, which features a student literally splitting into two people when classmates start chewing gum, her experience growing up in a Soviet refugee family where mental health wasn't discussed, and how her conditions intersect in complex ways. Faye also shares her crowdfunding campaign to pay disabled crew members for the project, and we talk about representation, advocacy, and using comedy to help people understand this, as we know, often invisible disorder. After the show, let me know what you think. You can reach out by email at hello@misophoniapodcast.com or hit me up on Instagram or Facebook at Misophonia Podcast. By the way, please do head over and leave a quick rating. Wherever you listen to the show, it really helps drive us up in those algorithms. If you want to come on the show, please just go to misophoniapodcast.com and click the Be a Guest link to see my calendar. All right, now here's my conversation with Faye. Faye, welcome to the podcast. Great to have you here.
Yeah, it's great to be here. I didn't know this was a thing, so that's very exciting. It's great to find more things in the Misophonia community.
Yeah. And you've been posting a lot, and I didn't dig too much into kind of what, but because I want to get into all that. But I don't know, maybe for starters, do you want to kind of tell us roughly where you're located, and then we can kind of get into a little bit about what you do?
Sure. I'm based in Los Angeles, California. That answers the first question.
Yeah.
Should I just go into what I do?
Yeah. I'd love to hear it. Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly.
I do a lot of things. I say I'm a multimedia artist. I'm an actor, comedian. I'm a content creator. I have a small business, and I'm a filmmaker as well. So I do a lot of different things. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. And we'll tag you and post all your links, when this goes live.
Awesome.
But so yeah, I guess you've been posting a little bit about misophonia, and I just recently became aware of your account. You want to tell us a little bit about that, kind of how your misophonia advocacy started?
Absolutely. So misophonia advocacy kind of is harder for me for some reason than all of the other advocacy I do. Advocacy, I think, comes more naturally. I get quote unquote praise for the advocacy I do, but I think it's a necessary thing that I do and a lot of other people in the disabled community do. And I think it's a privilege not to do any sort of advocacy, because it's I have to advocate every single day of my life. And from that, I end up advocating for communities that I am not a part of, because some people do not have the voice to do it themselves, and I am privileged to have a platform to be able to speak up for other people who may not be able to, and to be able to advocate for change in policy and awareness and acceptance for different disorders, for things going on in the world, and for things that people may not be aware of. Misophonia is something that I've struggled with since I was pretty young. I am disabled. I have multiple different disabling disorders. And I recently made a post talking about, I really love to involve comedy in what I do, and I like to educate and inform people through comedy. So I kind of made it a joking post ranking different disorders I have on how evil they are. And that ties into my film and what I'm doing. And I ranked misophonia as definitely one of the higher ones, despite me having physical disorders that people, I think, would assume, due to their preconceived notions of disability, that those disorders probably impact me more on a day-to-day basis, and they do impact me a lot. But misophonia, I'd say, is actually disabling to me, which I think some people wouldn't think, and I think some people with maybe more mild misophonia wouldn't think it is disabling. But I definitely do think I would consider my misophonia very severe, very disabling. And I am diagnosed with severe misophonia, and I do have physical disorders, but my misophonia is very evil, and I'm very excited to be able to work on a short film, which hopefully will bring more awareness and acceptance to the disorder through comedy and media, which is something that people haven't seen before. And it's always been hard for me to talk about it, because when I think and I talk about misophonia, I hear the sounds and everything like that. And I think it's been an interesting topic for me, because other disorders they have more awareness and acceptance, like level 1 support needs autism. Like I have what was formerly known as Asperger's, and is now just level 1 support needs autism. And that's pretty well known. It still has some stigma and everything like that. Of course, there's a lot of challenges and barriers that I face with that, but that's a lot more well known, despite misophonia not actually being uncommon. And then other things I have, like hip dysplasia, hip impingement, and fibromyalgia is also not as well known. I would say there's like I have, the reason I have so many things, a lot of people are like, that's too many things, which, don't worry, I agree. But the reason I have so many things is because all these things have comorbidities and kind of are all attached to one another. And misophonia, for me, definitely is part of my autism. And it is oftentimes comorbid with autism and sensory difficulties. But it can be often comorbid with OCD or just on its own. And I've yapped a lot, so...
No, you hit on a lot of amazing things that, first, a lot of people have in common. You're right. We don't talk about a lot of this stuff enough. For example, a lot of people have come on the podcast with stuff that you would think, oh my gosh, that should be the focus of your life. Right. But they say misophonia is actually, if I could trade anything, it would probably be misophonia first.
Absolutely, 100%.
And most people don't get it.
No, nobody, like, if people don't have misophonia, they don't get it. And I recently just started dating someone who also has misophonia. I've never dated somebody who had the disorder, and I think it's been very affirming to me. And also, like, I would think it would be more difficult maybe because we both have it, but I don't think it is, because they also understand. And I think with other people, like, the top thing I think I and other people with misophonia have heard probably is, like, just get over with it, or like, you'll have to, like, just get past it. And, like, we wish we could. We all wish we could. And, like, that's something I'm sure, like, if anybody goes to therapy, like, we all have really, really tried. And I recently have been talking to my therapist about it, that it's like, every time I go, I'm like, the top thing I would love is I would love to get over my misophonia. And she's like, that's not really how it works. Like, unfortunately, with the level of treatment we're at, and there is no cure for it, you can't just magically snap your fingers and be over misophonia. And everybody I've talked to, they have gotten better and, like, have improved how they've been able to control their emotions with it, but nobody has completely gotten rid of their misophonia. People have been able to cope better with the symptoms. So my goal now is trying to accept that and cope better with my symptoms, which is an on and off thing for me, because it's brutal. It's pretty brutal. Yeah,
it's brutal. So there are some people who have come on and said that they've found relief through things like memory reconsolidation, which is if the misophonia, if you did the right kind of work and the misophonia arose from, for example, some memories in the past, there is talk about replacing some of those memories in a way, and that has kind of helped, along with other work. There's no, like you said, there's no, like, single snap of the fingers kind of thing, but there have been people who have found some freedom from it. And I'd love to hear about, I guess, there's obviously many places we can go, and we will, but I'd love to hear about this film, because first of all, you're right, comedy is actually a common thing that I think we all know suddenly diffuses the situation. Having being around somebody who has misophonia, so at least, suddenly often does reduce the fight or flight, because you don't feel like you're in danger all the time, which is kind of the what triggers in our brains. But yeah, let's get to let's start with maybe the film. I'd love to hear about the idea there, the concept, where it's at. If you need any
Absolutely.
funding.
I have only made one other film before, and I
Hmm.
would have not thought it possible for me to be able to make one. And I made it through the Easter Seals Disability Film Challenge, which is a film challenge
Mm.
which is really unique that focuses on you have to have one person at the forefront of the challenge with a disability, like as the lead actor, director, something like that. One or more people. And I was the executive producer, co-writer, and lead actor in my short film "Do No Harm" that was last in this past April, and I was nominated for Best Actor in that film. So that was really exciting. That was my first time making a short film, and I basically learned a lot of things during that process. And now I've been sort of building the team for this film. I wrote this film earlier than that last film. That film for the Easter Seals Disability Film Challenge, everything is done in a week. The writing,
Mm.
all of the work and everything is done in 5 days, actually. So less than a week. It's a lot of
Mm.
work, and it's super, super intense. So for this one, it's going to be a lot longer of a process because different from the Disability Film Challenge. For the Disability Film Challenge, everything has to be volunteer mandatorily. But this time, I really want to pay
Okay.
disabled people. My goal is to have a team of mostly marginalized people, who have been neglected in the film industry, and I want to pay us. So the big thing has been fundraising, because a lot of people go into making any sort of film, even a short film, and a lot of time and effort goes into it. And for that, a lot of money goes into it.
Hmm.
So I wrote this film with the co-writer of "Do No Harm" that I made previously, which is available on YouTube through the Easter Seals Disability Film Challenge page. I wrote it with Liz Galalis, and it is going to be a little bit less than 10 minutes, and it is a comedy horror film about a student, which will be played by me, that I'm not very good at pitching. I don't do this part. There's going to be like a producer that's doing it.
It's
I'm doing
fine. Yeah,
a
yeah,
lot
yeah,
of the creative stuff and the writing. But
yeah.
a teacher starts passing out the tests, and all of a sudden, one student pulls out a piece of gum and the world shakes. It's like a very surreal, very campy vibe to it. The world
Yeah.
shakes and you hear like no, and I split into two people, and there's one Faye and another Faye, and then the other Faye goes in front of the boy who's giving a piece of gum to the other boy and starts basically trying to bargain with him at first, like, please don't do it, there's no gum allowed in this class. Eventually, as they start chewing gum, she starts trying to pry his mouth open, pull the gum up, but every time something happens, it reverts back to normal, and she gets increasingly more angry. And these are sort of representing the intrusive thoughts that people with misophonia have, that I personally struggle with. All while this is going on, the regular Faye is showing what people with misophonia, or at least I personally show externally, which is crying, shaking, possibly like hurting
Mm.
myself, like I'm trying to like internally battling what's going on, at least that I had struggled with in school. And I'm trying to say, like, don't, like, telling myself not to do this. And I'm like,
Hmm.
because I am not an angry or violent person, and I'm thinking all these horrible things. And that's like one of the most horrible things to misophonia to me. But I really want to show what I think is the mix of genre in this disorder, that is comedy horror, which is that
Yeah.
we are blowing it up to massive proportions over a piece of gum. I know how absolutely ridiculous this disorder is and how ridiculous it sounds to just explode the situation over a piece of gum. I want to show that we have this extreme fight or flight response over this. So eventually it escalates into the other Fae basically killing everybody in the classroom, almost everybody, into this like horror. And then it keeps flashing back and forth to reality, to the real Fae, where nothing has happened. Maybe people feel
Mm.
like a breeze and you're not sure what's going on. I want the audience to kind of feel this mix of reality and this confusion until at the very end, there's this big explosion and the real Faye gets up and screams, and the teacher goes, "Hey, no gum," because she sees the gum,
Oh,
everything like de-escalates
yeah. Right.
because it was so blown out of proportion. And then the other Faye popped, and then the teacher goes back to playing phone games on her phone out loud, um,
Yeah. Yeah. Oh,
up
yeah.
behind her,
Right.
and that's the end of the film.
Oh, I love it.
It's-
I love it. Yeah. No, comedy horror. I mean, I've often said that there's a musical in the works somewhere in the future about Misophonia, because it's like so much goes on in our
Yes,
heads that it's the whole other landscape. And so I love that you split them in two. I thought you were going to say like I sometimes describe it as a Jekyll and Hyde,
yes,
where
I've
there's like
heard that
a
a lot. That's exactly what I've
Jekyll
also
and then a
described it
calm.
as. It's Jekyll
Yeah.
and Hyde sort of situation. There's going to be two of me, and I'm working with my best friend who's a special effects makeup artist. And we
Hmm.
did some like promotional pictures where it's like regular me, and I want to be showing that like very scared, upset, like frantic side
Hmm.
that like. And all meanwhile, this time I've done none of the tests. Like I haven't been able to do any of the work. It's like showing the test that I like haven't been able to do any of. Like class is
Yeah.
over, and all of this
Yeah.
stuff is happening. So definitely it's going to be higher budget than I've worked on before due to all of the special effects primarily. We're going to need
Hmm.
a stunt coordinator, which I've never worked with before, because there's going to be some stunts that I've written out, including me kicking somebody out of a door.
Yeah.
In which I don't actually intend to kick somebody out of the door because that is maybe illegal or violent.
Mm.
So this will have to be done with
Eh.
stunt stunt people,
Yeah.
and
Right.
I would like to pay them and compensate them for their time because
Right.
I believe that is fair and right. So everybody will be paid
Right.
basically except for myself and some people.
I thought you were going to say the kid who's triggering, but yeah.
Yeah, I'm really excited to make this happen. So far, we have raised $40, which is a little bit far from
Hey.
our goal, but I'm very grateful to those people who have donated so far.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's our GoFundMe is attached to our Instagram,
Okay.
which is misophonia.film. Also, I did find out as we were making all of this, as we were doing the Instagram, basically as we had filled out the Instagram name, that there is another Misophonia film. So
There's a few. Yeah.
I didn't
Yeah.
know
I mean, there's one called Misophonia, but there's a short film from Iran. That's doing film festivals.
Wow.
It's a 10-minute thing. Go look it up.
my
I'll
gosh, I
send
will.
you the link.
Yes, please.
There. Yeah. And it's a silent. It's a silent short film about a couple locked in a hotel, locked in their apartment during lockdown, and one of them has misophonia. Yeah. So, anyways.
Wait, that's so.
But I actually had the director on the podcast, first person from Iran to be on the
Oh
podcast.
my gosh,
So,
I love that.
yeah.
That is so cool. And I think did you have the other people who did the Misophonia feature film on the podcast as well?
No, not the ones that did there was I think two sisters
Yeah.
who did one
That's what
recently.
I
Yeah,
got.
I haven't had them. Yeah, I haven't had them on the podcast. But I'd love to see it. Yeah.
I also want to see it. It seems it's very, because as soon as I saw that, I was like, they all I'm glad of, and I'm very intrigued by is they're all very different. Like all these ideas are very different from one another. But they seem to have a very like a different. Ours are both obviously like fantastical and not completely grounded in reality. Maybe the one from Iran is grounded in reality. I'm not sure, but is it, or is it like
It's kind of a musical too. It's a silent musical with a bunch of weird effects. Yeah, so
Okay.
it's not super
That's
grounded in
interesting,
reality.
kind of how all of us
Yeah.
see it in a sort of
Yeah.
like non-reality way because of how our like brains work. But yeah, the musical, what I've seen from it, they definitely had a lot of effects, and it is a musical, and it has a lot of like visual effects and practical and special effects that they did, and it's a whole feature, so that's interesting to me. But the ones that I've looked up, they haven't had a female lead, so I'm excited for that.
Oh, check.
Huh?
Yeah, there's one from Quebec. There's one from Canada you might want to check out too. I'll give you a link.
Okay.
It's also another short film. but I think the lead has it's. I mean, it's not a school. There's no splitting. There's it's very different. But
Okay.
but the lead is female. Yeah, it's from a couple years ago or so. I forget if I had them on the podcast or not. But yeah, I'll send you that link. So
Well,
yeah.
that's really exciting. I definitely, I don't think it's like a bad thing or anything that there's multiple of them, because my
Oh yeah, no, I'm not saying that.
goal,
I'm saying
no,
yeah.
you're not.
I don't.
The goal of this and what I want to do from this is to build more
Yeah.
awareness, acceptance, and to build community. And I want more
Mm-hmm.
representation, and that includes from anybody who has misophonia. And I'm assuming that all these people who are making the films are driven to do this because they have the disorder and they haven't seen
Right.
representation. And I think all of us making these are like independent filmmakers, because at least
Yeah.
personally and everything I've looked up, I have not seen a representation of misophonia in mainstream media. I've seen,
Nah, barely. Yeah.
yeah, I've
Mm-hmm.
seen maybe,
Not properly.
yeah, I've seen like people who have been bothered by chewing noises, and I've seen people who
Right.
have sensory problems, but not somebody who has the disorder misophonia. So
Right.
having somebody represented in media would be like a really, really huge thing about it.
Yeah.
And I think getting people to have like more awareness, and that's something that I really want to do with the film campaign while I'm doing social media, is that I want to bring on other people with misophonia to talk about their experiences, so that people understand what it is and understand that it's not just I'm a bit bothered by chewing sounds, and how kind of drastic it is, because I
Right.
push. I found out that there's a whole convention for like research for misophonia.
Yeah, I just came back from it a couple of weeks ago. Yeah, there's a convention. There is the Misophonia Research Fund does an annual event, which I also went to and participated in. So yeah, there's more attention, and then these short films, like anytime somebody hears about them, like it gets a lot of attention. So yours is not going to be any different. It's people are going to be really interested in hearing about it and want to see it do well.
Can you
So
tell me a
yeah.
little bit about the convention?
Oh, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So there's the Misophonia Association convention. That's usually the one that's called the convention, and it's been going on for about 10, 12 years. Marsha Johnson is kind of the head of that, and she's kind of one of the first audiologists in the 90s who recognized misophonia.
Wow.
So yeah, I mean they get a couple hundred people from all over the country. This year it was in Dallas. Last year it was in Atlanta. So it moves around, and yeah, so they get some speakers like Dr. Jane Gregory and other experts, but it's mainly, and it's moving more towards just being community. So people just kind of like meeting other misophones for the first time, sharing coping methods and just chatting. And so and they take care of like the snacks are all soft and not crunchy foods. They take care of doors closing and open, stuff like that.
Wait, that's so
Um,
cool. Is there gum allowed?
I don't think there's well, I didn't see an explicit sign, but I think everyone there knows
I
to
think that's very cool.
yeah.
That's very
So
cool.
it's like surreal to be around people who you've never met, who you've probably had shared experiences with your entire life. So that's kind of a
That
surreal
is so
moment.
cool. I have to check it out for like next. I think it passed this year, right? You said you just got.
Oh yeah. Yes, it just passed. I just came back from a couple weeks ago. I was in Dallas, and next year I heard maybe Wisconsin. I don't know. There has to be one in LA, so I feel like that might be a. But yeah, it moves around. It's always where there is an Embassy Suites hotel because Embassy
There's plenty
Suites
of suites here.
they're cheap, and then you get two rooms. You get like a living room, and then you get another door to the bedroom. So there's always like a double quiet,
Wow.
space. So, so they think it through.
That's so smart.
Yeah, and then the MRF Misophonia Research Fund, they had this that's more like researcher oriented, but they had so it's about a week, but they had one day dedicated for anyone to come and hear from and talk to like the leading researchers in the field, hear about funding and whatnot. So that was in Chicago. So that's great too. I think next year we'll be in Chicago again. I think it's just always in Chicago. So
Around what time is it?
September.
Oh,
And then in Misophonia, so the convention is usually like mid to late October.
okay.
So
Cool.
yeah, but so yeah, we talked about we're gonna have the links to all your stuff, but I'd love to. You said Misophonia started for you from like a young age. Do you remember what kind of was going on around that time?
Yeah, honestly, I think my dad helped with it because he definitely has it. I think to a more mild degree, or he has been able to cope with it and make it a lot easier. But when I was younger, I'm first generation. My parents are Jewish refugees from Ukraine, and I'm saying this for context as I'm going to use a term that he used. But when I was younger, I, as kids do, would make noises with my mouth, and he would really yell at me. He would say, "No chuff chuff guying," like, or something like that. That's like the I think that, and he would get very like sad about it, and he would have me like cut my food up in small pieces with like a fork and a knife, like chicken fingers, grapes. He had me use like a fork and a knife for and stuff like that, to like I think prevent the sound. So I was very, and I really take, I think this is because of the autism, or I know it is, but like I take rules very seriously. And I was like,
Mm-hmm.
got it. And I don't know if I would have had it before, or I like really like started then. Um, but I like heard that, and then I was like, that's the rule, no choff choff guying. And then it, I think, spread to everything else, and I was very mean to my brother because he was definitely choff choff guying, and he's younger than I was. um
Mm-hmm.
he's 2.5 years younger, and I
How old were you around that time? Do you remember? Was it like really young, around 3 or 4,
no,
or
not 3 or 4. I think I was,
yeah,
I think I was probably like around maybe around kindergarten, so maybe I was.
yeah,
Yeah, I was like 5 or
yeah,
6. Yeah. A pretty little. And it didn't get more like serious until I had to really focus on things. It was there, but it didn't get,
mm-hmm.
I think, to any sort of debilitating state until I had to do tests, until I'd had to do homework, things like that in school. That was when it was very, very bad. I think
Mm-hmm.
that's, at least with other people I've talked to, at least that's also when it's bad, is when I'm also having to focus on something, watching a movie, even like that's not like such a serious, like you're not going to be quizzed on the movie after, but I would like to enjoy the movie, and it's hindering my enjoyment of the movie. Movie theaters were terrible. Um, I think like lockdown was good for me in some ways. Like, I mean, I like this part of lockdown where I didn't have to go to movie theaters, and I was like, wow, I really like this where I can control my own environment, because I can't with the noise and everything that people
Yeah.
make. And I was very frustrated. I always had hearing problems, like some hearing problems, because I have eustachian tube dysfunction, and like I had
Mm-hmm.
like some fluctuating hearing loss, that I'm certain it's genetic from my dad's side of the family, because my dad's mom is now quite deaf, and my dad is hard of hearing as well. But I like was losing hearing, and then in freshman year of college, I passed out, hit my head in a parking lot, and I shattered bones in my inner ear, so I lost more of my hearing. And I was like, please, please be deaf. I don't, so I don't have to have this,
Yeah.
or
Wow.
like
Yeah.
go full send. And I was hard of hearing. Like I know I had shattered bones in my inner ear or anything. I just noticed I had lost more of my hearing. And then I went and I had to go get hearing aids because it really was affecting my schooling at the time. And
Mm-hmm.
I hated it. I also have like heard this from some other people who had I was very curious. I was like, people who have misophonia who lost their hearing or who got hearing aids really, really, really struggle with it, because I don't know if you have any hearing loss or have hearing aids.
No, mine's a little bit above average so far.
Awesome. Yeah, well, that makes sense for misophonia. It sucks.
But I don't know. I like the way we listen to music in our headphones. Sometimes I'm like, there's got to be a reckoning at some point where I'll lose my hearing.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
that makes sense too. But
anyway.
no, I couldn't handle hearing aids. I don't wear them anymore. I didn't.
Mm.
There's like for people who wear hearing aids, there's like a period of adjustment usually, and then you get used to it. I did not last through the period of adjustment. I think it was maybe more difficult because it was right when COVID had started. It was like
Right.
2020. It was 2020, maybe like
Right.
January, February. So right as COVID started, and we started putting on masks. And every time I would take my mask off, it would make this mask on, mask off, huge sound. And I would pull off my expensive hearing aids would fly off into the distance if I took it off.
Oh yeah.
And it's just imagine every sound you hear plus misophonia amplified so loud. Like I heard sounds I had never heard before. That maybe some things would be nice. Like the first time I put them on, I heard birds chirping, and I was like, "That's cool." And then I was like, "Okay, shut up." Like it was cool for maybe 2 minutes, and then I was like, "That's enough."
I got the message, bird.
Yeah, that's enough. And then it was raining, and then I was like, "Okay, now it's raining." And then I heard my hair against my ear, which I have hair. So like, especially because that's where the hearing aid is and the thing. That's, I don't know, maybe if you wear headphones, maybe that makes a sound. I don't know. I can't tell. Now I can't hear it. But I heard my hair against my ear. I didn't wear glasses at the time. But the mask against the ear, I went into a store that first day, I remember. And there was like different settings on it. Maybe they're more advanced now, but there were different settings on it. And I heard every single hanger scraping against the rail. And I heard every single sound in the store, which usually with misophonia I hear a lot. Like I could pick out all sorts of different sounds, but I just heard everything. All the shoes, all the hangers, all the clothes shuffling, my hair on my ear. It was like maximum overstimulation. And then I went to go to the checkout, and I every single time I had to do something, I had to change the settings on the hearing aids to be like forward, side, and it was just a nightmare. And I'd just be taking them off all the time. And and then I went to school on the Zoom, and I could just turn on the captions. Why would I put them on? I have no reason to use I don't want to hear. So I didn't do it. So I don't wear hearing aids. I did an ASL class, like American Sign Language, and I did really like that, and I like communicating that way. The only difficulty with like using sign in the deaf community is that not everybody else knows American Sign Language if I want to communicate that way. Right. So that kind of is a bummer, and that sucks. But right. I do wish I could communicate that way a lot of the time. And also I don't instantly know all of American Sign Language. Also, a problem with people with dyslexia and American Sign Language is that deaf people make a lot of sounds, which I don't know if you've ever been with a deaf person, but it's part of deaf culture. And it's, even though they can't hear the sounds, it's part of deaf culture to make a lot of noises with your mouth and with your hands and kind of with your throat and stuff like that when they are signing. And a lot of times, because they've never heard themselves, they chew with their mouth open and all this stuff. And I like to engage the deaf community, but with misophonia, it can be a huge barrier.
Interesting. Yeah. Okay. Interesting. Wow. No, interesting. Yeah. Thanks for taking us on that. And yeah, I haven't had many people on who have, engaged that much with that community or many of the communities that you've that you're working with. This is fascinating. I mean, now, like, your relations with your I guess how did they react to your misophonia when you were growing up? Like, what was the feedback to your, actually, I'm assuming maybe you were really, agitated and screaming, and I don't know, like, what was the dynamic like, and what is it like now?
My family?
Yeah.
I mean, I have ex-Soviet family, so they did not take like, they were like, no. Basically, they were like, stop that.
Yeah.
And
you're the second Soviet person who's come on and said the same thing.
So I was not born there. My parents call me local produce because I was born here. I was here. They were all born there. My whole family, everybody immigrated here in the 90s after the fall of the Soviet Union. It was, So I was born here, and I'm to 2001. So that is when I was born. But yeah, it was not received well. I think with my dad, he understood, and then but
Right.
when it probably got the worst was in high school. And I ended up getting accommodations for what I was diagnosed with at the time was anxiety and depression. So I ended up getting accommodations for anxiety and depression, to be able to for the depression, but for the anxiety, I was able to do testing in a different room, um, and everything like that. So that helped a lot. But literally everything would set me off. Like in the room, there'd be a clock ticking. Even
Oh yeah.
I think where I live now, there's like fake quiet, I think. And sometimes I work better in a completely loud environment because that's more like white noise to
Yeah.
me. I don't understand. Because I live with my grandma now, and older people, young people, very young people, babies, and animals make a lot of noises. And I find that
Yeah.
I'm the most accepting towards all of those categories because I know they cannot help it. And I can repeat that. But because I have been living with my grandma a little bit over a year, it kind of I was worn off. I still go a little bit crazy, so I do try to leave a lot. But yeah, her eating, her one thing that gets me that I'm really frustrated that gets me because it makes no sense is her shuffling her feet. She literally, because of the pain in her body and everything, she walks so slowly and she shuffles her feet. So I'm like, I'm such an evil person for being bothered by this, is what I think all of the time. Because I'm like, it's also, I shouldn't be like, why do I even hear this? And I just know it's just I'm bothered that she's lingering, and she's kind of like a iPad baby, that she loves to be on.
She's always on it.
Oh,
Okay.
get ready. She's like 5 screens at once all the time.
Oh boy.
She's on speakerphone all day, every day, with
That's the worst.
all her relatives. She goes through the Rolodex all day of all of her relatives, and she's calling, which I love and appreciate that she has an active social life. I love and appreciate that she's talking to people. But then at the same time, she is playing Bubble Witch Saga on her iPad, on the TV, computer. She's not watching it on the TV. She's watching it in the office on her computer screen. She's watching a Christmas movie and or Ukrainian news. And or at the same time on the tablet, she is watching Outlander and CIS. So there's
wow,
maybe 3 to 4 of these things going on at once. So I'm hearing
with the volume on for on for all of them.
Volume on, and I go in. She calls.
Why not? Yeah.
To ask what she's going to get for groceries, and I literally am like, can you please turn at least one of these things off? And I see full nudity on the screen right now, Babushka. I cannot talk to you. Well, there is fully an Outlander penis on the screen right now, excuse me, or genitalia on the screen.
Yeah.
I'm talking to you about what you want from the grocery store. And there's also I'm looking at you. I'm looking at your home country being bombed. I'm looking at Derek from Grey's Anatomy on the screen over there, Bubble Witch Saga, and genitalia. It's a lot going on right now, and I'm hearing all of it too. And then you're on the phone with your in-law, so I don't know what to focus on. It's more than just the misophonia. I'm just at a loss for words, honestly, when I go into the room sometimes.
She might have a little ADHD or something. I don't know.
I don't know. I don't think anybody in our family is neurotypical or normal, but she's the most normal one. My mom always says, everybody she may be the neurotypical one, and I'm like, I don't know. Now that I've lived with her and her complete rigidity and routine schedule, her she makes me go to 4 grocery stores in a day. She would do it herself. She really misses her independence and driving and everything like that. And it's her couponing. She's really into her coupon. And it's she has to save the most money, and she has to go to Super King, El Super, John's, all this, the Armenian grocery store, the Russian grocery store, the all this things, the Mexican grocery store, to get all these different items. She literally will go to one store to get 4 avocados. I kid you not, one store for 4 avocados, and I'm difficult. So this all takes like so much energy from me. And I'm like, I need you to pick one. And this is difficult for her because I cannot go to 4 groceries a day. That's so much. Because I think the money you're saving on groceries is going to gas.
Yeah, I was going to say, right.
It's canceling out. And I really tried to convince. I wanted to go to Trader Joe's. I miss Trader Joe's, but Trader Joe's has no sales, so she thinks it's worthless. And can I please go to Trader Joe's? And she says, but bread. And I'm like, Trader Joe's has bread.
They have great bread. Yeah, they have this new super bread that I love. Anyways,
I haven't seen a Trader Joe's in over a year.
Oh wow!
I'm Target. Because why would I go? Why would I go when? I'm just not going to Target for the reasons, but like, why would I go when I have to go to all these other stores?
Yeah,
she doesn't understand like why I would need to when they have no sale. I'm like, because I like the snacks they have, and I like the vibe in the Trader Joe's.
Yeah. Interesting. Wow. That's surprise. Surprise guest star with your grandma. That's an interesting story. But it kind of completes the picture of your family, which just is a lot going on in person and perhaps genetically or epigenetically. I mean, you mentioned like comorbidities. Do you want to? I mean, obviously that's so everyone who's probably been to your social media saw the list, and so they kind of have an idea. What and you mentioned some things feel related. I'm always curious to ask people how they feel like these things relate to each other, perhaps in day to day, but also in the order maybe that you noticed them growing up. Absolutely. On set and whatnot.
I think a lot of my disorders jump and relate to each other, specifically with misophonia. I think obviously it has relation to autism, it has relation to anxiety, it has relation to what I've had a lot of relation with it too growing up is eating disorder and ARFID. Which
what's the last one there?
ARFID. It is a restrictive food intake disorder. Active restrictive food intake disorder, I believe. It's comorbid with autism often. It is just being it's a very big oversimplification. It's just being very restrictive with food. It's kind of when you think of a lot of times with people who are autistic being very picky with food, like having a lot of rigidity, having texture sensitivities and stuff like that. Like I've not eaten for very long periods of time because I've been so like set off by food and food stuff like that. And a lot of that has connected to not just food textures, but food sounds. And it has connected to like, it's made having an eating disorder, like body image wise, a lot easier because like once I got connected to that part, that when I started having an eating disorder, like a generalized food, like eating disorder with restrictive eating and body image, it became so much easier not to eat. Like once I start, it's just so easy. So I like had not eaten for the longest period was 9 days that I had not eaten. Yeah. And it obviously made everything else worse where I was like passing out all the time. And I have a syncope disorder. So I was passing out. But because of the misophonia, I hated the sound of my own chewing and eating and everything. And no food was I just couldn't get the food. I just wouldn't eat it. And a lot of times, like grocery shopping is really hard for me. I get really confused about food, very, very overwhelmed. Nothing is the right texture. I can't figure out like what foods go together. I don't have the energy to cook it. And so I won't eat. And then it just gets easier and easier not to eat. So it all connects with each other. And then also I have TMJ, which is, I don't know what it stands for. It's the jaw bad.
Okay, I think I've heard of it. Again, I don't know what it stands for, but yeah, some people will Google it or check.
Get diagnosed with, I lock it in my brain, and I'm like, I'm not gonna remember what that is anymore. But my jaw pops and locks a lot, and it makes crunching sounds when I'm talking, when I'm eating, just opening my mouth, and it's very obnoxious.
It's temporomandibular joint disorder, I believe.
There you go.
I'm not going to remember that in 30 seconds.
Yeah, exactly. That makes sense. But it's like like it just like is like popping.
Yeah.
Because I have
Yeah.
hypermobile spectrum disorder and joint hypermobility disorder, so a lot of my joints are out of place. But TMJ is very common, and I
Mm.
probably ended up getting it from grinding my teeth from anxiety when I
Mm.
was sleeping, and then also with misophonia, I end up like just grinding my teeth to bits, and the pressure really sets off TMJ, and that causes
Yeah.
pain and also ear
Right.
problems. So everything just like is so connected within the body that also doesn't help migraines and everything like that. What I with the syncope disorder, I have the fainting that set off not set off. I ended up with a lot of concussions from that and head injuries, and head injuries caused other disorders, which could also have probably worsened misophonia and made me a lot more irritable. Post concussion syndrome and concussions can worsen irritability for sure. So that also probably worsened it. I think none of the disorders I have helped misophonia and
Mm-hmm.
have probably made it a lot harder for me to heal through therapy and stuff like that. And it's been very hard for me to give myself grace in doing it. But I think I've gotten better coping mechanisms through time. Like the best coping mechanism I've been given that I really need to do is like when I am triggered by something, I need to like because I've restricted my like stimming for so long, is I just need to like shake and to stim, which I don't do, and I'll just like sit there and like vibrate and seethe, which is not helpful, or
Uh-huh.
like cry or something like that because my body
Right.
wants to like leave. Basically, I want to flee because I'm
Yeah.
not going to fight. I don't fight people. I don't like to argue or anything like that. It's very bad. Like if I get into an argument, I don't like confrontation or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't take me a lot to get, but I don't like to, especially
Yeah.
like with people I love. I don't want to hurt their feelings or anything like that. So I just need to take the energy to get out of there, take a walk or something like that, or just wiggle it out because it's not
Yeah.
helpful to just sit there and vibrate because then I'm still
Yeah.
there.
No, that's you have a lot going on, and I mean, you deserve grace. You deserve to, yeah, giving yourself a break. And have you heard the term HSP, highly sensitive person?
I think I
People
have,
who,
yeah.
yeah, you know, so it just popped into my head, obviously, when you were saying, like, I don't like to, I mean, nobody likes to have a confrontation, but some of us feel that energy a little bit stronger
Yeah,
than others, or, they're able to read the room, like, times 10. And
yeah,
so we don't want to take, it's exhausting. On top of everything that misophonia and, all the 20 other things that you have going on
yeah, for
probably
real, yeah.
exhaust you. So, yeah. Um, so what I guess few quick things. We're almost at about an hour, and I do have another meeting in about 10 minutes. But I'd love to like. Do you remember misophonia being? You had a lot of stuff going on. Misophonia, was it one of the first things that you noticed of these conditions, like chronologically, or was there other things around that time?
Not that I noticed chronologically, but
Okay.
like if I was
Yeah.
I was probably diagnosed with anything when I was little. I had very chronic ear infections. I had very chronic,
Okay.
horrible ear pain, ear sensitivity,
Mm-hmm.
anything like that, which may have been, I don't know, connected or exacerbated it. But it
Mm-hmm.
was eustachian tube dysfunction, which it wasn't labeled until later. But I had
Yeah.
it can be common for kids to have a lot of ear infections, but I had a lot of ear infections. I had ear tubes. I had like
Mm-hmm.
uh multiple, I don't know, I don't think I had multiple, I had my like tonsils taken out and stuff like that. They were trying to figure out what was wrong with me. I like
Yeah.
didn't handle like pressure changes or anything like that, which is what eustachian tube
Mm.
dysfunction does. Do you know what the eustachian tube is?
Not off the top of my
It's
head. I assume
in
it's
your ear that kind of does, I could I could be wrong, I'm not a scientist, but like it's the tube that does pressure, like bounces
yeah,
pressure basically. It affects your balance, and also it's like when you put
yeah,
it down on a plane, it's like maybe you're popping your
yeah.
stuff like that. Mine is floppy and like loose. It's like not working properly.
Oh,
So I get ear infections a lot, and I have a lot of pain with pressure changes and things like that.
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha. Okay. Interesting. And yeah, in terms of like you said, you're seeing a therapist. Like, what else have you tried? Anything for misophonia in terms of like professionally? I don't know. Have you like different types of therapy, different type of medication? I'm kind of curious what you've. And you may have had some of these things for other conditions. I'm curious how those things may have affected misophonia.
Yeah, I have just so much going on. It's kind of hard to tell what's affecting what or what's coming from where at a certain point. Like I talked about this with one of my friends who has a lot of disorders and is going through chemotherapy now recently. And I'm just like, how on earth do you tell? And like just at a hysterectomy, like how do you tell what's like what is coming from where? Like I can't. It's so hard for me to tell when I am sick because I'm always sick. Like I always have symptoms of like a light cold. Like I have so much pain going on regularly. It's so and then I get flare ups.
Yeah.
So it's so hard to tell when I'm in a flare up versus when I am like ill or I have something severe going on. It's very difficult for me to tell these things. As far as therapy, I've gone through multiple different therapists. Misophonia was definitely one of the earlier things I was diagnosed with, like after I think depression and anxiety, and then it was misophonia and then PTSD. And PTSD, I don't believe was misophonia related because that was from trauma, like after in high school. But a lot of the therapy ended up being focused more on the PTSD and stuff like that. And I had more to try to like deal with PTSD related stuff. And I have Kaiser. So I don't know if you had anybody here.
I used to live in California. I miss Kaiser. At least I had a good experience.
That's good. I'm so happy.
Not everybody does.
Yeah, no, I personally have not had a good experience with Kaiser, and I know a lot of people.
Well, so they're great for if you don't have 20 things, if you're just a normal.
That's true.
I don't mean to say normal, but you know.
That's true.
Mainstream person.
Yeah. If you're a mainstream person, if you have like a couple things, they are good, and that's what I've heard they're good for. But if you are like complex in any way or have multiple things, it's pretty tricky, and I don't think it's gotten better. I think it's gotten a lot worse. I've dealt with a lot of like pretty horrible things with Kaiser. I think their therapy and everything like that, psychiatry has been the worst that I've like been dealing with when I first started having problems. I mean, you can only have, at least what I have now, you can only have an appointment once a month with them for less than an hour, which is personally less than I need, or sometimes like I need more than that. No outside therapies are covered by their insurance. And as far as psychiatry goes, a lot of their psychiatrists are really, really behind on what's in the DSM-5 currently, at least in my experience. That's a whole another story. But the first therapist that I had was through Kaiser. Her name was Marsha, and she was a grief and substance abuse counselor. I did not have grief or substance abuse problems, but they were out of like, and I was like 13, 14, and they were out of teen or like young adult, like counselors for anything like that. And her advice to me was, have I tried doing my homework? And that's a quote from her. Like, have I tried doing my homework? And I was like, I'll try that. Thank you. I did get really good grades, and I did do my homework. I just really struggled with it. But yeah.
Well, that's just because we're smarter than everyone else. Misophones are. So.
Are we?
But we're pretty smart. I would say overall.
Is that
like people who come on,
or is that like a research based?
It's not research. It's not research based, but there's a lot of there's a lot of engineers. I mean, that's I might be a little bit biased, but it is a fact. I mean, Marsha Johnson, since the 90s, has been saying like at least a third of her misophonia clients are like engineers.
That's
and
really
there's something about it. So yeah.
That sounds.
I digress. But
yeah, she did not know what to do with me.
Yeah.
I did not have any substance problems. I'm very, I think, unnecessarily worried about substance problems. Like I recently got prescribed some like muscle relaxants for like my pain, and I have taken them like only a couple times in the time I've been prescribed because people can get addicted to them, which
Right.
because I'm so scared, I think it's impossible for me to be addicted because I like barely ever take them.
I get worried taking 2 Advils.
Yeah,
I'll
like, say I will take an Aleve.
Yeah.
I
Right.
think I'm okay. But yeah, that lady did not know what to do with me, and I think I've just had CBT types of therapy mostly, and that's what I've been most successful with. And yeah, but I'm definitely open to trying new types of treatments if there are treatments out there that I can find.
Well, listen to other episodes of the podcast.
I will.
And it might kind of open your eye, and we should talk too. I'm kind of I need to probably wrap this up now, but I'd love to. I mean, especially after you do your film and anything that comes up, I'd love to have you back on, and we can keep the conversation going.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think you've got some valuable things to contribute to the community, and I think we'd all love to hear more. But this has been great, Faye. Thanks for coming on and sharing everything.
Thank you for
it's great to have you part of the community.
Really interesting conversation, and I definitely learned a lot.
Thanks again, Faye. Good luck with the film. I'm looking forward to hearing more about it. If you're listening, check the show notes for links to see how you can help and support. And if you like this episode, don't forget to leave a quick rating or review wherever you listen to this podcast. You can hit me up by email at hello@misophoniapodcast.com, or just go to the website, misophoniapodcast.com. It's even easier just to send a message on Instagram or Facebook at Misophonia Podcast, and if you still use X, it's Misophonia Show. The music, as always, is by Moby, and until next week, wishing you peace and quiet.